We'll take a walk along the raised beds just to start off with. And we're getting slight taste of autumn. We've got the hibiscus coming out here now, the helenium. And the Perovska we're going by, and those sumptuous dahlias, the penstemon, and the cosmos still keeps on. Such good value. Bertie in front of the top autumn border, which is beginning now. The stately Rudbeckia from America, Rudbeckia maxima, with its beautiful grey leaves. And above it, burying beautifully, is Sargent's Sorbus sargentiana. Bold foliage and really rather intriguing leaf buds, which are sort of varnished. I'll show you in a minute. The lovely cone-shaped flowers of the Rudbeckia. And here we've got this varnished leaf bud of the Sorbus. Another Rudbeckia, the wonderful autumn sun, the German hybrid, standing about 6 foot tall, with its cone flowers, of course. Herbstsonne. I just love Rudbeckias for their cones. And the third Rudbeckia, of course, is the very jolly Rudbeckia fulvida, Golden Storm, it certainly is. As an aside, Rudbeckia commemorates two professors of medicine, father and son, from Sweden, Uppsala University. The senior one, they were both called Olof, by the way. Olof Rudbeck, professor of medicine, but also a keen scientist, and he founded a botanic garden near the university. His son, also Olof, studied botany as well as medicine, had the distinction actually of teaching botany to Carl Linnaeus, the famous botanist, who then named this genus after the father and son, Rudbeckia. Also as an aside, the junior Rudbeck got through 3 wives and 24 children, so what time he had left for botany and medicine, I do not know. Yes, here we have the Hydrangea Vanille Fraise, vanilla strawberry. However, unfortunately, the strawberries seem to have gone off because of the weather, the rain and that we've had especially. When it goes red, it starts getting these horrible brown patches, which is a great shame, because when it starts off, as you can see more or less on the left-hand side, it's lovely with the white flower and the slightly pink flecks. Take a close-up of the flowers, which are beginning to turn strawberry coloured. Following my nose, there's a wonderful scent coming from here, and it's got to be my late flowering Rhododendron, which is the last to flower in this garden. This is Rhododendron glanduliferum. However, it's fantastically strongly scented and comes in all sorts of forms, this particular rhododendron. So it could be better described as glanduliferum complex. There are some with hairy underside of leaves. There are some with slightly longer leaf stalks, like this one. And there are some with massive leaves. And it's also very closely allied with the other later flowering rhododendrons like Rhododendron auriculatum. But here we are towards the end of August and it's flowering away. It's a lovely scent. Growing in rather deep shade is this white oak-leafed hydrangea from America. This is a form called Snow Queen, which has double flowers, and it's rather attractive, I think, if you look individually. But I think because it's in such deep shade, it's not very floriferous. And it's rather intermingling with the mauvey purple hydrangea Jeffrey Chadbund and a rather massive pale blue mophead hydrangea. But these leaves are very bold. You can see why it's called the oak leaf hydrangea, and they do turn a beautiful autumn colour. And here is Jeffrey Chadbund. Coming along the tennis court, I see that the Japanese tree Mallotus japonicus is absolutely full of flower. It's slightly weird sort of flowers. They remind me a little bit of the flowers of that markia we saw in an earlier video. Let's have a look a bit more closely. Taking a slightly closer look at the flowers of this tree, which actually comes also from China and Korea. And I'm not entirely sure why, but apparently in Japan it's called the food wrapper tree. Perhaps they wrap food in the big leaves. I'd have thought it might be poisonous, because it's a member of the Euphorbia family, and you think, oh, right. But if you look at the new growth here, which you can see in some suckers just below it, doesn't it remind you a bit of a poinsettia? The favourite Christmas euphorbia that everybody buys and then discards. Of course, the poinsettia colouring comes from the colourful bracts around the flowers, whereas this is a leaf, but I don't know, there is some sort of similarity to my mind. Pulling away the big bold leaves of one of my favourite cannas. This often goes by the name of Canna iridiflora, the iris-flowered canna, but actually it's a hybrid between that particular species and various others I don't know, made in the 1860s, so it's been around. But such a beautiful, I don't know, demure pendant flowers, but a gorgeous pink colour. And it is actually a hybrid called Aemanii. There's Bertie enjoying the sun underneath the Hoheria sexstylosa, which is, or has been, flowering its socks off with its scented white flowers. Now with hydrangeas, here is a rather weird one. Hydrangea paniculata, which normally commercially goes by the name of Great Star, which I think actually is quite a good description because it has these rather large sterile bracts, sort of individually spaced, and they do look like stars. However, I discovered that its proper name should be Hydrangea paniculata le Vasterival. Now, le Vasterival is a very famous garden in Normandy created by the late Princess Sturza. A marvellous garden, wonderful garden, and in it was discovered this hydrangea sport. So really it should be called Le Vasterival, but Great Star is slightly easier for us folk, so I shall continue to think of it as Great Star. Beside Hydrangea Great Star is an Olearia which is absolutely full of flower. It's become quite an old shrubby tree which I've chopped back because it gets far too big. This is Olearia hastii from New Zealand. It's a hybrid between a couple of Olearias moscata and abyssinifolia. Anyway, this is, I would say, the only really hardy, reliably hardy Olearia that can be grown in the British Isles. It's attractive. And I mean, it dates back to its introduction by Veitches of Exeter in 1856 or something like that, I believe. So it's been around a while. More of interest than anything is a plant collected in Yunnan. It's got these racemes of flowers, and it's called Itea yunnanensis because it comes from Yunnan, obviously. Very similar to the much better known Itea ilicifolia, or the holly leaf Itea. But the leaves of this one are only just faintly toothed, as you can see. It doesn't produce an enormous show, but nevertheless, I'm not going to denigrate it, especially as it was a free gift. Well, here for comparison is the holly-leafed Itea ilicifolia. Slightly longer racemes of flowers and slightly more toothed leaves, as you can see. Just finish up by admiring the Aralia, variegated Aralia, which is now flowering, set off quite nicely by the blue of the Teller blue hydrangea on the left and the other hydrangeas behind it. Such a beautiful shape now.